Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Inside the NOE. As always, I'm Jason.
And I'm Rick.
And I am actually nervous with this amazing episode we're going to have here today.
I'm not nervous, but I'm excited.
I'm nervous because I'm actually a fan of this gentleman's work. And he just happens to be our main celebrity guest at Timmins Con in 2022. Mr. Daniel Cudmore has been kind enough and nice enough to give us some time to do a little bit of an interview with him and provide some information and a little bit of laughs as well too with all of our viewers.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm excited. I feel like we should have got a makeup person and stuff for us.
I don't think.
Look at this guy.
I know. I know. Strapping young man.
I know. And then two old men on the other side.
That's right. Losing their hair and gray and grizzled. But anyway, stay tuned. We've got an amazing episode coming up of Inside the NOE. So we'll be back after these messages. Welcome back, everyone. Well, this is a very special edition of Inside the NOE. We have a very special guest of honor with us today.
I think you're saying special way too much. That's for special.
It's very special because this gentleman's probably going to have the most anticipated appearance of all appearances at a convention.
It's like 3 years in the making.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the time I get there, I'm going to be geriatric.
Exactly. Everyone, please help us welcome Mr. Daniel Cudmore. Daniel, how are you doing? Thanks for doing this.
I'm good. Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me. If you said special any more times, people are going to wonder if I was actually special in the old mental capacity. So,
well, considering the times that we're living in, I think the word special probably maybe is used a lot more than it should be. But it's been a long time coming, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. So we wanted to thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Cool. So we have a couple questions for you just to get going. At what age did you kind of realize that you wanted to become an actor? Like what age did that kind of acting bug get to you?
Well, it's funny because doing it professional didn't really happen until my early 20s. But going to drama class happened about 8th grade, since I was a class clown and I was always interrupting class, and I was pretty good at my schoolwork, but I would do it so quickly that I would be kind of bored, twiddling my thumbs. Hey, who can I get to laugh right now or sort of get a rise out of? And my teachers just finally said, go to drama class. And oh yeah, good job. This is great. Well, we love it. And everything is being embraced, and all the silliness and craziness that is me is being embraced. And so I think probably around 8th grade is when I really sort of I started seeing how much fun it was and how quickly I took to it. And then it wasn't until my 20s decided, hey, I could maybe do this for a living. Who knows?
And that was out in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, that's out in Vancouver, because I grew up in a small town just outside of Vancouver. So realistically, I never really thought that you doing it professionally was going to happen unless you were like, okay, I got to move to New York, or I got to move to LA. And at that time, man, I was so serious with all the sports I was playing that I kind of was taking that route. So once I sort of finished college or was in between and trying to figure out where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do, I came back to Vancouver, and I really just saw, wow, the industry is it's booming right now. So I thought, hey, why not just get into it and sort of see how it goes while I try to figure out if I want to go down another career path.
Oh, cool. Nice. So yeah, you're a very imposing figure. How tall are you? Because I watch you in the movies, and I'm like, oh, that's a big guy.
That's always a question, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Officially, I would be 6'6".
Wow.
Then, shoes on, maybe a little bit, half an inch taller, but I don't know. It's funny because I'm probably getting shorter with age. Who knows?
You're
Maybe
6'6",
like
how can
a
you be
quarter
getting
of an
shorter
inch.
with age?
I know, but by the time I get out to the Comic-Con, I'm thinking I'm going to be about 6'1".
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, 6'6". So it's like, yeah, it's it's been a blessing and a curse sometimes.
Well, that was going to bring my next question. You know, being
An imposing
figure like that, is it harder to get certain roles, or do people try to typecast you because, like, here's a big, strong, good-looking guy? Is it harder to get certain roles, or is it?
Yeah, it's interesting because it is tricky. There are certain roles that become harder to kind of put your foot in the door for just because of size. If you're going to be a love interest to somebody and that female lead is 5'4", it's really not going to work. It's just that visually it's not going to work. You're not going to get, two people in one camera shot. It just doesn't really work. And so things like that have been a little tricky, but then when a role comes along where they need someone who is physically imposing, they need some size, then it kind of works in my favor.
Right.
But it's an interesting place in that sort of bigger guy world, because a lot of the times you need to be big, physically imposing, and kind of scary looking. Like, that's that world that you gotta kind of live in. Essentially, a lot of times that's the way scripts are written. There is a larger than life character, and he's usually a little scarier looking. So it's interesting to sort of navigate those waters. But as far as being typecast, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to hate being typecast if you're constantly working. Because
good point. Yeah.
being working and constantly working is going to give you the avenue and the ability to just, have work, make money, and then eventually get to a point where you can say, hey, I can be a little bit more choosy about certain roles, and I can kind of go for things that are a little farther away from the typecast that I am, because now I have that financial freedom and that time to go after some of those things.
Oh, cool. Well, is there certain things that is there roles that you're attracted to? Or like what attracts you to certain roles?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, like right now it's just, I got 2 young kids. It's work. It's just, if somebody wants to say yes, then I'm saying yes, to a certain degree. But I like things that challenge me. I like roles that kind of scare me. When I look at them, go, wow, this isn't something I've played, and how am I going to do this? I like that sort of feeling, that sort of, oh man, I'm either going to do it decent or I'm going to fall flat on my face. I like that challenge. I'd love to start playing around in the comedic world, but that's never really been a door open to me, because I sort of have been typecast as a sort of big, imposing, strong type character.
Right.
But I love that sort of world of self-deprecation and silly comedies. And, I grew up on the Mel Brooks movies and that sort of world. That's stuff that makes me laugh. So, going down that avenue would be a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Now, speaking of imposing figures, we'll backtrack a little bit. 2003 comes around and X2 is released. Bryan Singer cast you as Colossus. Now, on the set, you've got Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Ian McKellen, Famke Janssen. What is your demeanor?
Right?
Yeah, like, hello,
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Like, what the heck am I doing here? What's your thoughts when you step onto the set?
Yeah, basically what you just said. What the hell am I doing here? Like, how did this happen? Going from, I'm extremely fortunate going from doing a couple TV small roles and a couple commercials, and next thing I'm thrust into this $150-200 million movie / franchise with with one of these amazing iconic characters. And yeah, I mean, I was just sort of in awe. You're looking around at the talent and the resumes, and you're kind of just going, okay, just don't trip on your own feet and try to just do your thing. And it's funny because now at this point in my life with all the experience, I wish I had kind of been a bit more bold back then. And I wish I had that ability to there were certain things with the role and the character that I would have liked to push, and especially made a bit more of an accent. But at the time, Bryan Singer was not interested. I had auditioned with a Russian accent. I'm pretty decent at accents, and that was something that he really pushed back on. And I kind of went, all right, well, I've got 3 credits or 4 credits on my resume. I don't think I have a leg to stand on with the argument here. And just sort of would love a little bit more dialogue, but in something of that size, everybody's scrambling for something to sort of let their character breathe and have some dialogue. And, it sort of goes down the pay grades. The person that's getting the most money gets the most of the story, and it all sort of tumbles down. And when you just sort of step in, you're going, yep, nope, yep, I'll be over here. Whatever you need. Yep. Perfect. So it's funny, you start to get in the industry a little longer, and you sort of let that Canadian attitude not wear off, but you don't let it be in the forefront as much. Whereas at the beginning, when you're just, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, yeah, okay, right on. No, I'll be over here. Yeah, okay, yeah, oh, yeah, you want me now? Oh, great, yeah, I'll be there. It's that sort of, and now you go, okay, no, I've got something to bring to the table. I'm here for a reason. So let's play. Let's do something.
Yeah. With such, like you said, with such a stellar cast on that X2 movie, was there one of the cast, without getting yourself in trouble, of course,
right,
was there any of the cast members that were kind of helping you along the way, or giving you some guidance, or kind of helping out a little bit?
I think, yeah, yes and no. I mean, there wasn't a huge amount for anyone to sort of help me, but I think they were helping without really knowing they were doing that, because I'm one for observation, especially if someone is at a different caliber and it has been doing it for so long. I sort of learned that from sport. I would watch someone who's maybe older and playing at a higher level and go, okay, well, why is that person doing what I want to do right now? Well, what is it that they're sort of bringing to the table? And so I would watch, some of the greats in there, and to everyone's credit on that show, everyone was just so kind, just down to earth and real. And so I never felt like if I had a question for anyone, that someone would just bark back and say, leave me alone and get out of here, kind of thing. So Hugh Jackman was unbelievably kind, and Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. I mean, everybody was really just open to answering any quick questions I had. But yeah, I think for me, a lot of times when I'm on something like that, I'll just watch. I'll sort of be a sponge and just take it all in and say, okay, what is it that they're doing, and what can I sort of change, and what can I bring to the table, and sort of live in that world.
Yeah, no, that was definitely an all-star cast for sure.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So
going at all.
Yeah, for sure. So going from one, amazing established character as Colossus, was an iconic character as Colossus. Then, a little while later, you turn into another iconic character as Master Chief.
Right.
So I've watched that. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of the Halo franchise.
Right. Okay.
And when they released the Halo Forward Unto Dawn, I was like a kid in the candy store. I couldn't wait to see Master Chief live on the screen, instead of having a joystick in your hand and the first person. What was the process behind that? How did you get involved? Obviously, I'm sure your size was, like you had said, was probably a part of you getting that role. But what was the whole experience becoming Master Chief?
Right. No, it was interesting. I mean, I had played the game years before. I think my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, I'd bought an Xbox and she bought me Halo 2, I believe. But I'm not a big gamer. I can't really sit in one place for too long. So video games was never something I took, but I remember playing that game and thinking, you know what? I actually played it as long as I could, which was, I probably didn't finish it because I'm terrible at games, but I played it for quite a while and I kind of got to pretty high levels. So, fast forward, there's a stunt coordinator in town, James Bamford, who's now just doing an amazing job as a director. And he had jumped on board, and then he was just pushing for me to play this character. And so when they approached, I sort of said, oh yeah, this is great. I'm going to be in a suit with this amazing suit, knowing that Legacy FX was going to build something that was going to be spot on. But I would really like to be the guy who voices it as well. But at that point, they'd already chosen someone. And so it was this kind of this difficult place where you're going, yeah, I can't wait to play the character. And you're still doing all the performances and dialogue through the muffled sort of face mask, but you're not getting to really feel the character as an actor without doing the dialogue in the ADR booth. And so it was a bit of a tricky one, but then I just sort of shook my head. I'm like, you know what, this would be a blast. And what an iconic character to play, as you said. So I jumped on. I was living in LA, and my wife and I came up, and then I went back to LA like 4 or 5 times for like all these fittings with this suit, which was, on a sidebar, the first time I tried it on in its entirety, it was all in this sort of matte black finish. And I just thought that was the coolest looking version at the beginning. I just, something about the look of it, the rawness of it, I just thought it looked unbelievable. And then they painted it, and I was like, oh, okay, you guys know what you're doing. I'll just it's not my world. But yeah, I jumped onto it, and I think it kind of, and knowing that it's a massive franchise with huge amounts of fans, I knew that it could be received well, but I didn't think it was going to be received as well as it did, because originally it was only going to be the sort of advertising piece, the 6-part series leading up to the game release, and no one had really talked about, okay, let's really put it together and package it as a feature film.
Yeah. Now, knowing the popularity and how big the game franchise is, did you yourself feel any pressure? Like, man, I'm kind of carrying the franchise right now. Like, did you feel any pressure put on by yourself?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is an iconic character, and there's certain ways that he moves in the video games, but there's only so much you can do because video games aren't reality. So you have to sort of bring things that you can see and elements that you can see to try to bring them to life. But then at the same time, I didn't have the worry of all the dialogue because I knew I wasn't doing the ADR, but I still wanted to bring stuff to the table for the other actors. So yeah, you always feel the pressure knowing that you want to do well, but you can only sort of do so much and just hope for the best, really.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say, fans sometimes can be so like,
oh my goodness,
I'd be nervous, just because. Luckily, you did an amazing job, and the fans loved it. But I can't imagine doing something like that and a character like that and having those fans that don't like it, like, it must be horrible.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, at the end of the day, like, you can't impress everyone, and everyone has their own version, right? And so everyone's got their own version in their head of what something looks like, and you can show 10 different people the same picture, and everyone can think it looks different or see something different in it. And so you just have to put in the work and go for it, and you kind of have to just be happy with what you've done, hoping that people are going to like it. But you can't impress everyone. Like, it's just, you'll drive yourself bonkers if you're out there just trying to run around, make sure everyone's happy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So how fun was it to be in the back of that warthog?
Oh, well, it was until like my forearms felt like they were going to fall off. All the actors are in there, and they're all strapped in. They've got it like safety lines, and I'm standing on the back of that thing doing 80 kilometers an hour down the road, just holding on by my forearms. And the suit weighs like, that suit was 80 pounds. And so you add that extra weight and the centrifugal force of going around those corners, and you just, okay, this thing, like, luckily the mask was on, because you would have seen my oh shit face the whole time. Like, oh! There's a top stunt guy in town. There's a million amazing stunt guys, but John Kralt, who's a stunt coordinator now on The Flash, but he was driving, and oh man, he was, I think he was trying to get me to go off the back. I think it was like one of those cases where you're driving your boat, and behind it, you've got the tubes, and you're just trying to get your buddies to go flying in the air so you can film it in some horrible wreck. It felt like that. So the next day, I could barely even close my hands.
Awesome. That's funny. I had to ask that question because that
Oh,
scene, when it's the close-up scene and it's kind of like from your waist up and you're holding on to the turret in the back, and it's just it's a really iconic scene because you can see the lights are flashing and what's happening at that specific moment of the film. It was really cool. But I had to ask that question because it looked like
oh, absolutely. I wanted to drive it, but the cockpit for the drive, it literally was built for someone who was 5'9", 5'10" max. So like in that suit, I wasn't even going to get close.
Forget it.
Yeah, not happening. I would have looked like a guy in a Power Wheels car. It was just not, it would not have worked.
Oh god. So we got Colossus, we've got Master Chief, and then obviously probably one of the biggest film franchises. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably one of the films that really gave the name Daniel Cudmore an international flavor, which is the Twilight Saga. Correct? But I
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, totally. I mean that film, that franchise, it took off, man. Holy smokes.
So you play Felix Volturi, which is you're kind of like well, you describe what your character is in the films.
Yeah, I mean, we are part of the Volturi. We are the governing body, essentially, of all vampires. You could say the royalty of vampires, and I play one of two sort of, I would say like henchmen, but basically the tracker, played by Charlie Bewley, who plays Dimitri, and I play Felix, who basically is the one who ends most vampires' lives when he gets his hands on them. And yeah, I mean, I was just, now I start thinking about it, I'm like, holy smokes, that was like 2008 when it all sort of came out. So I'm starting to feel
That was not my intention. That was not my intention.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So what kind of pressure came with that following? You must have been like a mob around you guys when you guys are doing film premieres and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because when I got on board, that was with the second film. So the first film I can't remember if it had just come out or it was just about to come out. I think it had just come out, and it started to take that elevation, but not quite hitting that fever pitch of what sort of happened around when the second came out and third, and that's sort of when it really took off. But yeah, I mean, I did my homework. I went and bought the Twilight books and I read them. And I remember the girl at the sort of snobby bookstore looking at me like, "Are you sure you want to buy these? Like, you're a 27-year-old man. What are you doing buying these?" But I was like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. Just take my money. Let's do this. But yeah, I wanted to do my due diligence and see what the sort of the craziness was about them. And yeah, the pressure's always there. But again, it's another one of those cases where you just got to go, okay, this is how I see it. And, run it sort of past Stephanie Myers, make sure that she's cool with it and just go for it and just have some fun with it. But yeah, it was something that really took off. I think we were filming number 2 and we were in Italy, and there was like a mob mentality kind of going on. Like there was people blocking streets and stuff like that. And fortunately enough, I mean, for me, we were the new guys, so no one really knew who we were. So it was really about that main cast, the ones that had started it with the very first film. And also there was that sort of level of, you could make things more crazy for yourself if you were someone that is really active in social media and really putting yourself out there more. I'm kind of more of a private person, and I know that's not the smartest thing in my industry. It's actually smarter to be on your social media all the time and really pushing that. That's something on a sidebar, I wrestle with. But for me, I was very easily, I could just sort of slide in between and not have to worry about these mobs of people. And there were some other actors who were loving it, and there were others who were kind of knowing that, it's a sort of part of the job, but not being too excited about it. So it was an interesting sort of time, and it just got worse. It just got not worse, but it got crazier and crazier.
Yeah. I gotta say, one of my favorite. I've seen all the movies, and one of my favorite parts of the whole franchise is your big fight scene with Robert, where you just literally destroy him.
Yeah.
I was like standing ovation. I was like, bravo,
That's the funny
encore.
thing. It's like every single guy, we were like, every time I would go do any type of convention or signing event where it was centered around Twilight, it would be like a guy and his girlfriend would come up to introduce, and the girl would be like, "Oh, I can't believe you touched Robert. And oh, can you sign this? Oh, I can't. I'm so angry at you." And the guy would like lean over and he'd be like, "Thanks, man. That was dope." So I was happy that I had these female fans unhappy with me, because that meant I did my job properly. That was the character. He basically didn't give any, what's, and was just there to mop up bad vampires. But the guys would always come up to me and be like, "Oh, thanks, man. That was just so dope. Thanks, dude." Yeah. And it was hats off to the stunt team in town, like the stunt team that put that together, and Simon Burnett, who doubled Rob Pattinson in that one. I literally think he broke his elbow in the big over top of my head smash into the stairs. He whacked his elbow right on an actual stair instead of a breakaway stair, and I think his elbow broke, but he didn't tell anyone because he's tough as nails.
You could tell everybody once he comes out as Batman, you could say, "I kicked Batman's ass."
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Just thinking of all your roles that you've had, is there any that you would want to reprise, like come back to, like if Colossus or?
I'm game. I'm always game. I know they did a Master Chief. They've done a Master Chief series, and I think it's Pablo Schreiber, Liev Schreiber's half brother, who's the lead, and he's a fantastic actor. I think I'm pretty sure I put something on tape for that Halo TV series, but I think everyone who was over 6'4" put something on tape for that series. And as far as like X-Men, I would love to. I don't know if it would work in the universe that is, Deadpool having come out and everything sort of changed around. But I'm game for whatever. I like working. Like I like working. I like playing cool characters, and I'm more than happy to jump on board if they want to reprise anything.
Cool. So just to give a quick highlight, of some of the titles and some of the films you've been in. You've got, around 2003, you've got X2, 2006, X-Men The Last Stand. The Twilight Saga ran from about 2009 to 2012-ish. Halo Forward Unto Dawn was around the 2012. X-Men Days of Future Past, 2014. So there's quite a bit of action in the motion picture industry there for you.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems lately now you've kind of turned your focus more to the TV shows, the Legends of Tomorrow, Superman and Lois, The Flash, kind of thing. So what was kind of your thought process about kind of taking a little bit of a swerve on that?
Right. It's just the industry. I was living in LA up until about almost 2016, and my wife and I decided, you know what, let's head back. Vancouver was crazy busy, and we wanted to start a family, and we wanted to raise our kids in Canada. And so we came back up, and Vancouver has slowly not slowly, but it's rapidly turned into mostly a TV show city. They've just started, the CW started shooting so many up here, and they were locking up studio space, and we shoot lots of Lifetime and Hallmark movies up here. And so, it just started to evolve, that everything that I was auditioning for, I was still auditioning for feature films, but most of those feature films were somewhere else. And so it was one of those things where it wasn't a conscious decision to say, I'm only going to do TV. It was mostly out of what's available, what's close. And I was fortunate enough to play a lot of cool characters in a lot of TV shows. But at the same time, having a young family and going away from my wife and kids is a tricky sort of, it's a tricky balance. You want to provide and you want to work, but you want to spend all that quality time and see them grow up and be there. And so, being all these features being shot overseas or shot out east or wherever they were down in Atlanta, I was just kind of happy to be plugging away in Vancouver. I mean, now I'm at this time where my kids are older and I'm more than happy and game to go wherever and do whatever is available. And I love, I started to cut my teeth on feature films, and I love, I guess, the sort of larger than life size of them and the scope of a lot of these big features. And I was very fortunate to get in that world right away. But I also do really enjoy the pacing that is TV. It is fast, and it is, you come prepared, you get your stuff done. You don't have the time to sort of really dive into a scene for a week long. You've basically got, 4 or 5 takes and we're on to the next. So both of them I really enjoy, but again, I'm always game to just do whatever's available, whatever's next.
I think we're at a point now too. A lot of TV stuff that you're in looks like, feature films, like the effects and everything just seems. TV's not the same as it was when we were younger.
And that's the wonderful thing about it. I mean, they now have budgets. The technology is that much better. And so the availability to shoot something and make it look high quality. I mean, it's also hats off to the crews that are here in Vancouver for the shows that I work on. They're so technically good and efficient and fast and hardworking that stuff just looks amazing. And it's also, TV has just sort of changed, and now we've got all these different streaming, and now your TV shows are now streaming shows. So a TV show now is shot more like a feature because now it's a 10 episode show on Netflix, where now it's 10, 12 hours of TV, but it's a TV show. Is it a movie? We're not too sure because the quality of it is so high. So it's a really interesting place where we are now.
Yeah, no, for sure. So now we're almost done here, Daniel. We don't want to take much more of your time, but there is one thing that we wanted to bring up to your attention.
Yeah.
We followed a lot of. We're into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC universe. We're geeks, I guess you can say, at heart. But I've seen some interviews with other celebrities, and they say, "Well, I really don't feel like I've made it in the industry until I get my own action figure."
Right.
Okay. So we got some props here, and I wanted to get your opinion on some of the props that we have. Okay.
Yep.
So the first one is we're going to go with the Colossus X-Men Funko Pop.
Wait, what is he? 1 second here.
Now you must have this one, I would presume. That's a different one. Yes.
I had that one.
Yeah.
And then I made the mistake of letting my daughter play with it when she was like 2 years old. And the head fell off in 2 seconds. And then it got smashed. So yes, I've seen them, and every time I go to a Comic-Con, I try to get, if someone has one that I see, or if I sign one, I'm always like, okay, where did you get this? I want to go grab another one.
Well, I got good news for you. I have 2 of them, so one of them is earmarked for you already. So
You're a prince.
The second one here, obviously, I'm sure everyone knows this guy.
Ooh, look at that guy. That right there, you know what I call that thing? I call that the sweatsuit.
The sweatsuit?
Yeah. When I wore that, I lost 12 pounds of sweat every single day.
Wow.
Now,
That's hot.
That's really hot. Now, the next one, these are more of a generic looking figure, but still, associated with you. But this next one is marketed with your image on it.
Ooh, look at that guy, hey? Look at the young man up there. Just a baby.
This was why I brought this up. I said, "Oh, remember the scene when he's carrying the TV?"
Yep.
He's like, "Yeah, it's right here on the thing." I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm moving my son to university next week, and I can't do this. I don't know,
You know what the funny thing is? Like, they took the screen was still on there, but they took all the rest of the inside out. I guess maybe the tube would be one of the heavier parts, but it still had some girth to it, man. Like, I remember I did 2-3 takes of that, and by like the third one, my arm was I was fitzing a little bit. I was getting a little sweaty.
Oh, well, we don't got no more props to embarrass you with, so we just wanted to show you those things. Just like I said,
Those are great.
we've seen other interviews where people say, "I don't feel like I've made it till I have my own action figure. So
Oh yeah,
Mr. Cudmore has his own action figure.
Yeah, right. I think those are just actors trying to go like, hey, someone give me a job in a superhero movie. I think if you're being interviewed, I think you've made it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah,
for sure.
For this one here, though, how did it feel like to see this up on a shelf?
It was pretty cool. I mean, like, I remember them sending me the schematics of what it was going to look like and sort of asking, I don't know. I don't think they were really asking my opinion. I think they were just like, this is what it's going to look like, but we're going to phrase it and make you think that we're asking whether or not you like it. But it was cool. I mean, like, anytime you have your face on a character is kind of strange and surreal. But it's great. I was pretty pumped when I got a hand on it. I know I have it somewhere. We're in the process. I finally like built an office, so I'm like trying to figure out where the heck I put it.
No, that had to be a cool feeling. My son is 18 now, but when he was like 2, I was a police officer for 20 years, and he had a little Lego police officer, and he said, "Hey, Papa or Dad, this is you." I was like, "Yeah, all right."
Yeah, it is.
Sold as Constable Rick.
No,
no.
You should have wrote it on the box.
I should have. There you go.
Yeah, should have wrote it on the back with a Sharpie.
How does your friends and family to react to stuff like this when they see it?
Oh, they take the piss. That's what friends are for. They make fun of me. That's only the best. You need friends like that around you, because otherwise you get a big head. They're great. I mean, my parents are proud. I mean, you know, my mom's more of an artist, or is an artist, and my dad is a doctor. So they're two complete polar opposites. And so I think I was sort of hinting at maybe going towards and walking down the medical route and becoming a surgeon. And then I didn't want to go to school for 17 years. I like to help people, but not 15 years or 16 years of my life before I even make a paycheck. And so, I think my dad was kind of a little terrified of me going into the arts, because, you know, this sort of iconic failed starving artist is always in people's minds. And so I think they're just happy that I'm enjoying what I'm doing and that I'm successful.
Good. Well, I think I can speak on behalf of myself, and I'm sure a lot of your fans. We're really enjoying the work that you're putting out and bringing these iconic characters to life for us. So I wanted to thank you personally, and I'm sure a lot of your fans would want to thank you as well too for bringing these characters to life. So thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's very kind of you.
So listen, we don't want to take more of your time. Again, the longest build-up for an appearance ever at a convention.
In 2030.
That's right. The strongest X-Man there is, Mr. Daniel Cudmore, and he's Canadian. Daniel, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And we really are excited to welcome you here in Timmins, April 9th and 10th, 2022 at Timmins Con. Thank you very much for your time.
I'm excited to be there. Thank you.
All right. That was Mr. Daniel Cudmore. We'll be back right after these messages.
Hot summer streets and the pavements are burning. I sit around, trying to smile, but the air is so heavy and dry. It's a cruel, cruel summer. crowded, my friends are away, and I'm on my own. It's too hard to handle, so I got to get up and go.
Oh, this is so exciting. Are you watching this?
Just take it with me.
It's a cruel, cruel summer. It's a cruel, cruel summer. Leaving me here on my own. It's a cruel, cruel summer. Now you're gone. You're not the only one.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Well, I told you I was going to be nervous.
No, you seem cool, calm, and collective. A couple times at the beginning, I could tell you were like, you know,
Yeah,
special, very special. This is special. As our special guest is like just
special.
take it down. You're gonna be okay.
No,
But I
that's
thought he was such a nice guy. Like, oh man, I can't wait
again,
to have him in Timmins.
a Canadian lad. Exactly. You know, yeah, no, that was for me. That was a big thrill interviewing Daniel, because I'm a big fan of his work, especially in the X-Men and especially the Master Chief, Forward Unto Dawn.
Yeah,
I just love those characters, and I was extremely excited. And like I said, I was nervous. You know, I don't get nervous too often,
no.
but for this one, it was special.
Oh no, but he was just so cool about that. Even that, he's like, yeah, you're saying special too much there. He's just cool. Yeah, you know, nice guy.
Yeah, so that concludes this very special episode of Inside the NOE. As always, I'm Jason.
And I'm Rick.
And as usual, we always remind you, if you haven't got your vaccination, please do so we can get back to normal. And we can have our very special guest, Daniel Cudmore, at TimminsCon 2022.
You know what I'm gonna do when I edit this? Every time you say special, I'll put like a counter.
Oh, ding, 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 ding.
No, that's gonna be too annoying.
It'd be kind of funny, though.
It'd be kind of funny. Maybe just on our copy.
There we go. Thanks for watching, everyone, as usual. And we'll see you next time on Inside the NOE. Take care.